Last year's cygnets, adorable. By December, they've grown into beautiful swans, ready to go out into the world on their own. In January, they take their last flight together. All but the weakest one leaves on that day. The parents want them all gone so they can get ready for the next generation. However, they give this one a little more time to build up its strength. Incredibly, the strongest adolescent returns. The king sees him fly in. He shows his displeasure with this charge. The adolescent ignores it. Life on the lake is just too good to give up. That's about to change. To make life unpleasant, the king and queen initiate their plan. First, they periodically stalk the adolescent, pushing him around the lake. The longer he stays, the more often it happens. They don't want to hurt him, they just want him to leave. As it becomes obvious that this is not working, they begin phase 2, which is much more aggressive. Stalking, charging, and physical contact all come into play. The king sees somebody feeding the waterfowl, so he heads over to enforce the no free food rule. They cut both adolescents off from all the free food provided by people. A month has passed, and they're still here. An Arctic blast has frozen the lake, and the parents decide not to let the adolescents off the ice. They're not letting them forage for food. The stronger adolescent sees water in the north and heads that way. The king follows. He won't let him back in the water. This is very intimidating. Wherever the adolescent goes on the ice, the king is not far behind, stalking him. The king suddenly makes a move. All the swans are up in the air. They fly into the northeast quadrant where the king and queen confer. It looks like they're going to try to make the final push now. The queen initiates the charge, followed by the king. It appears that the adolescents have had enough and fly off. A sense of order and calmness returns to the lake, only to be shattered in 10 minutes as the adolescents return. The king is enraged. He chases after them and boxes them in. At the moment, his behavior is super aggressive, but smartly, he holds off on the ice, not wanting to risk injury. He moves on to second and pushes that one out of the water as well. He's obviously bothered by their return. However, he still doesn't want to severely hurt them. He'd rather just scare them out. It begins again. However, this time, the king is much more aggressive. There are many more charges and physical challenges. Incredibly, a third swan lands on the lake. The king and queen are super aggressive against this guy. They chase this guy for 20 minutes like there's no tomorrow. They follow it upstream. They've mated several times. The nest has been rebuilt. Everyone has to go. The final push begins now. They stalk the third swan upstream. It's so frightened it has to leave the water and hide in the woods to escape. Satisfied that the threat has been dealt with, the king heads back to the lake. His behavior becomes much more aggressive towards the adolescents. The weaker adolescent can't take the pressure. It leaves. The king goes into overdrive and is relentless in his pursuit of the last adolescent. It's finally over. Their adolescents learnt a lifelong lesson. There aren't any free rides in life. They must grow up and fend for themselves. 3 days later, the queen begins laying her eggs. Thank you for viewing.